We had 2 Monday night games today. We had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Ravens, Chargers and the Cardinals. We're going to break them down so you can get the buy, the sells, the holds, and the trades for fantasy football. But before you do, you need to click that subscribe button right now. This is the only YouTube channel in the fantasy football space that is breaking down the games prior to the game and after the games. It's only happening here. Tomorrow, we're going deep on the waiver wire. Over 20 wide receivers, over 20 running backs for the shallow leagues, for those deep leagues. I got you covered. We're also using these videos to help you set your lineups. Click that button, stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching. Don't disappoint him. But we're going to start off with the nightcap after nightcap game. Chargers and Cardinals. James Conner is the man. James Conner is a dog. With that big play at the end of the game, that big catch and run, 33 yards, also rushing for 101 yards, also had that strip earlier in the game. Trey Benson came in this game with an illness. He suited up. Mario Democado got that one touch, though. That being said, in the passing game, it was dead nuts. It was dead nuts for these wide receivers. Marvin Harrison Jr. We said Marvin Harrison Jr. would get some work. And more than likely, you're starting him, but don't be surprised if he does not pan out. He didn't pan out. He didn't pan out. Trey McBride, you're starting no matter what. Doesn't even matter. And he did okay for you for a tight end. He's probably giving you tight end 1 production. That was okay. Greg Dortch got a touchdown, but it doesn't matter. He only caught 1 ball for 5 yards and a touchdown, so that's 7 fantasy points in PPR. Less than that in non-standard. Michael Wilson, 1 catch for 15 yards. The wide receivers hurt in this one. Trey McBride was alright. James Conner was that dog. Kyler Murray got you 64 rushing yards and a touchdown. 145 yards passing and a touchdown and an interception. So he's alright for you. Justin Herbert, 349 passing yards. One of the few quarterbacks this week with over 300 yards passing. It was a rough week for the quarterbacks in fantasy production. J.K. Dobbins got some work here. 14 carries, 40 yards. 2.9 yards per carry. Kamani Vidal, 3 carries, 10 yards. That being said, more carries than Hassan Haskins, which is what we want to see. And it was the Will Dissly show getting 11 targets. Their wide receivers were banged up going into this one. Quentin Johnson out. We also had Ladd McConkey coming in questionable, dealing with an injury. That being said, we said in the must-start video, Will Dissly's probably going to get more work. We could not guarantee it because it is the tight end spot, but more than likely he was going to get more work considering they were down so bad at wide receiver. Joshua Palmer, 5 targets in this matchup. Got you 10.3 PPR fantasy points. If you're hurting enough to start him, you're living with that and you're okay. Ladd McConkey got you about 9 fantasy points off 7 targets. Considering he was questionable coming in, that's okay for you. And then after that, Jalen Reagor had that funny fumble. Probably could have scored on that play, or at least was close to it. But 1 catch, 41 yards. J.K. Dobbins, 3 catches, 26 yards in the passing game. Kamani Vidal keeps getting used in the passing game as well. Something to monitor. Also, J.K. Dobbins is getting a lot of work. He's in on a lot of snaps. There's a lot of opportunity there. And with him coming back from a huge injury from last year, Kamani Vidal is a player to pay attention to as a stash play. Looking at the Ravens and Buccaneers, it was a tragic game because we lost Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. And we got to pay attention to this offense when we're looking at the waiver wire now because they got some pieces here to look at. We got Jalen McMillan. We got Trey Palmer. We got Sterling Shepard. We got some upside here. The ball's flowing. K-Dot and hit. 8 balls caught, 100 yards, 10 targets. Rashod White got used in the passing game. 6 balls caught, 71 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also, 40 rushing yards. Sean Tucker, 29 rushing yards. Bucky Irvin got the touchdown and 23 rushing yards. Notice the carries here, 10, 5, and 9. So we got kind of a carousel effect now at the running back spot. A 3-headed monster. Sean Tucker's getting that work. It's going to be icky going forward with these running backs. It's just going to be icky. You're just going to roster the one you like the best, and you're just going to eat it. That's how it's going to be. They're going to be productive off and on. Bucky Irvin getting work in the passing game. Sean Tucker got 2 targets. They're all getting some work in the passing game. Of course, Rashod White and Bucky Irving's going to get more. They've been the heavy hitters all year long. They've been using the passing game all year long. Sean Tucker is just emerging, start carving out some workload, had 5.8 yards per carry. Again, like we said, going into this contest, it's a pick 'em week to week with these running backs. That's what it's going to be. That's what the coach said in the press conferences going into this week. Was not lying. It's a pick 'em. Rashod White hit. Bucky Irvin hit. Sean Tucker, all right yards per carry standpoint, but did not hit for fantasy football for what we wanted out of him. Chris Godwin had a good game. 7 balls caught, 65 yards. At the end of the game, we had that injury. We were carted off. That's going to kill us for fantasy football. I feel for him. Very good wide receiver. We're going to miss him. Mike Evans getting hurt as well. Now we got to see who's going to step up among these wide receivers. Pay attention to the channel. We're going to look at the route participation rates, the routes ran, to see who's up next or how to play this wide receiver depth chart. But looking at the Baltimore Ravens, and I want to look at one of my old dudes. Before there was Keaton Mitchell, before there was Kyron Williams, there was Rashod Bateman. And he has dealt with a lot of injuries throughout the course of his career. We've talked about him ad nauseum throughout the course of his career. We talk about him off the waiver wire every single week over these last few weeks. Rashod Bateman hit 4 catches, 121 yards, and 1 touchdown. Deep ball city. He is a deep ball city wide receiver, and he's kind of got that Will Fuller effect right now. And we've been saying this all season long. A lot of people jumped on the Rashod Bateman train over these last few weeks because of the workload, but we talked about it since week 1. He's getting deep targets, and sooner or later he's going to cash on that. And it has to be on the right matchup for him to really cash. And we looked at the over-under, and we said going into this matchup, Rashod Bateman had a lot of upside going into this game, and the odds of him hitting that increases immensely with a matchup like this. Pass funnel defense with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, over under around 50. We crushed that, by the way. Was that 72 points on the over? That's looking solid there. And Rashod Bateman hit. Zay Flowers got hurt. He came back in, but not much run with him. A lot of people ran bad betting on him. I saw that on Twitter while searching him up. 169 rushing yards for Derrick Henry. He's entering his prime, folks. Not seriously, but he's entering his prime right now. This is the best season of his career. Looking great with the Baltimore Ravens. 52 rushing yards with Lamar Jackson, and then 281 passing yards. We have 3 quarterbacks this week with over 300 yards passing. Can you name them? I'll give you 5 seconds. Okay, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield. That's it. Those are your only 300-yard passers so far this week, unless I missed something. That being said, fantasy football-wise, this was a fun matchup. Mark Andrews got you 2 touchdowns. That was sneaky, and it was going to be a sneaky game for these tight ends. But with the volume up in this matchup, one of these tight ends were going to hit. It was just going to be hard to pin the tail on the donkey on these tight ends. Mark Andrews, though, scoring twice for you. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, carousel effect right now at the running back spot. We're hurting out wide receiver. I'm sad about that. But Rashod Bateman hit for us today. Looking good. And all hail King Derrick Henry. But that's it. That's what happened tonight. Those are the buy, sell, holds, and trades for fantasy football. We'll be talking about the waiver wire tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.